Dive inside and find your mind.
Hey, and welcome back for some more Blindfold Chess. This is episode 18, and as the name suggests, I can't see the pieces. I'm completely blind. I'm playing with a special account I got permission to make for Blindfold Chess only, so I'm playing in the normal rated rapid pools. My opponents can see the pieces, but I can't. I also am using Zen mode, so I can't see any sort of move notation or move history. I don't rewind the moves, and it's all being done in an attempt to improve my visualization. If I can improve my visualization, perhaps I can improve my chess in general, specifically like my blunders, my piece hanging. I constantly lose track of things, and I'm hoping this visualization training is going to help my chess in the long term. So it's been quite a journey so far, quite a roller coaster. Some days I'm like on, and some days I'm just not there at all. So it's been pretty interesting. This game you're about to see, though, I will say I've been pretty hard on myself when I mess up, and I have to give myself some credit for this game. This is probably one of the best blindfold games I've ever played. This would be considered a good game of chess in general, I think. So playing it blindfolded is even better. So this was a really good one, and yeah, let's jump in. All right, we have a game, and we are the black pieces. I finally got rid of my provisional rating, so on this new blind speed account, blindfold speed account, I guess you could call it. Currently rated 1337. Let's play Caro Kann. C6. Confirm. Let's make sure Zen mode is on. Let's make sure my timers are running. OBS keeps screwing with me there. Okay. We might get a Tartakower. D5. Confirm. No, we get a Caro Kann Exchange. C takes D5. Confirm. Okay. Just a different weird move order. So my opponent played E4, I played C6. My opponent played knight C3. And then when I played D5, he exchanged. So we're going to put a knight on C6. Knight C6. Confirm. It's kind of a wasted move. Now we want to get the bishop outside of the pawn chain very badly, but we're waiting for the knight to commit here. So one of the ways that you can wait for it is to play A6. But after A6, if my opponent plays the bishop here, then now I don't have this square to move it to. So then we'd move into some crazy lines where I actually play G6 and put the bishop there anyway. And he takes, and you have a pawn here, and it gets real crazy. Castle queenside, potentially. So let's give him one chance to do it. We'll play A6. A6. Confirm. Now I'm hoping for knight F3. A little bit of hope chess. Okay, so he's not going to do it. So we're going to put the bishop on F5. Bishop F5. Bishop F5. Confirm. And if he wants to... Yeah, so now he put the knight there anyway. It makes sense. Now, because this is my opponent's pawn structure, he might go after my bishop. So we'll give it a little bit of luft. He's been wasting moves playing H3, A3, so we could as well. Or we could just develop. But I think giving ourselves that square is important. especially since he could play g4. So let's play h6. h6. Confirm. Then we're going to play e6. e6. Confirm. Then we're going to play knight f6, bishop e7. No, bishop. Yeah, we'll probably move the bishop there. So knight f6. Confirm. And I'll probably play bishop d6. Bishop d6. Confirm. Queen takes d6. Confirm. Dark square bishops are officially off the board. Then we're going to castle. And the opening is essentially complete. The only thing that I find very interesting, is my opponent has only moved a single pawn in the center, meaning this is my opponent's pawn structure. This is my pawn structure. So he's trying to put a knight here. I mean, that's his whole goal, I'm assuming. And now I don't have a dark square bishop to oppose it. My opponent has a light square bishop here. And a knight here. He could plant his knight here, and there's not a lot I could do about it. Unless I want to rearrange this knight here. And then play for b5. We could try something like that. The rook also belongs here. So let's play, I'm going to play knight d7 first. Confirm. And then I'll play rook c8. Rook a c8. As per usual, my opponents are playing 20+7 rapid, like a blitz game. Pretty standard. Rook a c8. No. Let's think about this for a sec. The knight just, he has no squares for his knight now. So, this is my opponent's pawn structure. My knight is guarding this square. Why don't I just play b5 right now? That would force the knight here, and I'd win a pawn. b5. Confirm. Knight takes c5. Confirm. Okay, am I wrong? Is this not a free pawn? Right? I hope so. Let's think about this. No, because he's got pawns here. His queen is still on the original square. Hasn't moved his queen. He's got a bishop here and a knight here. Queen takes c5. Confirm. Now we'll play rook a c8. He might play b4. Oh, he's moving his other knight in. Can't I take it? Isn't that a free piece? I have a knight here. It's not a free piece. He has a pawn here. So we'll just take it, yeah. Knight takes d4. Confirm. So his pawn structure, he has no more pawn here. This is a lone pawn. We've traded off both sets of knights, dark square bishop. The only thing left is a light square bishop, which is controlling this diagonal right now. So obviously I have to move my queen. So we both have a light square bishop. That's it. Let's make a threat and then move our rook here. We're not making a threat. We played b5. Okay. Just a sec here. This is our pawn structure. The queen is right here right now. We've traded off dark square bishops. Right? Where did we trade the dark square bishops? Right here, on d6. So there's no minor pieces except for light square bishops. So the queen is here. The bishop is here. Let's make a threat. No, we cannot make a threat. This is their pawn structure. Whew. So which way do I want to go? I'll just go back to d6. Queen d6. Confirm. Rook a to c8. Confirm. And then I'm going to stack rooks. Okay, so now it's a little harder. Because if I play rook c7, for example, he could exchange, and then my queen takes on c7, and now he can play rook. So It's a little harder now. Yeah, it's a little harder for sure. But we could just... Okay, so let's say rook c7, rook takes, queen takes, other rook, queen moves, and now I can no longer... Yeah, so we can't do that operation. Is there any way to make it work? I don't really see a way to make it work. Maybe we could consider moving this rook here, here, here. I don't know. Rook f d8. Confirm. I guess one way to do it. Okay, so we're going to just trade bishops. Bishop takes d3. Confirm. Okay, so we have a beautiful, healthy pawn structure. My opponent's pawn structure looks like this. So we're doing well here. But now my opponent has weakened his dark squares by that bishop trade. And I have time to do this. Wait, though. Is there a pawn still? I think I'm forgetting about a pawn. Right? Yeah, knight takes on d4, pawn took. Woo! That could have been bad. So, I think what I'm going to do is move my queen here, then here, then move this rook here. Well, then if I do that... Yeah, no, now I have time to stack rooks. Yeah, right? I have rooks here and a queen here, but his queen is now here. He can't protect this square with the queen, so now if he decides to take and take, I'm controlling the file. Ooh, I like it. Rook c7. Confirm. Okay, since my opponent has such a time advantage, I'm going to be playing with the mouse now. So my opponent went back to the dark square. And now we have a battery. I don't understand what that move is. Where's this rook? I thought the rook was on f1 still. I'm so confused. I'm really confused of where the rook is. Did he move the rook to e1 at some point? Actually, he did. Yeah, okay, so the rook is here. He moved his king closer to the rook. So let's attack this pawn and the queen. Okay, so this is our pawn structure. We have to remember that our king has Luft. My opponent has declined the queen trade, but we can force it now with this. Right? This is my opponent's pawn structure. So that's a check on the king. Now, do we take with a pawn? This is my opponent's pawn structure. And this is my pawn structure. Do I take with the rook or the pawn? It's going to be pretty tough. If I take with the rook, I'm attacking this pawn. Yeah, we're going to take with the rook. Now I'm attacking this pawn. And then, because this is my pawn structure, I'm thinking about playing a5 before I play rook c2. But I'm going to be controlling this file at all times. Okay, so because it looks like this versus this, before I play this, what about b5? Because now if he plays b4, I can take, he's got an isolated pawn, and he can't defend both of them. So let's play a5. And then I'll play rook c2. He's trying to move his king closer. Oh, I like that. Okay, we're going to trade. And now this pawn structure, we're in an endgame. I got to get my king into the game. So his king's right here, though. Let's just move our king. He can't go here. I got pawns here and here. He's got pawns here and there. So let's move our king. Okay, so now he just pushed this. And now I can lock it up. And now this is the pawn structure versus, and now we use our 5 on 4. I don't know what to push though. I think we're going to push this. Then we're going to push this. Then we're going to push this. Okay, so now this will be our pawn structure. And we're going to push this eventually. Okay, so this is my opponent's pawn structure on this side. And this is my pawn structure, so let's move the king here. Okay, so my opponent has done this. And I look like this. With my king here, I could push this and have 2 in the middle. Okay, so my opponent went back. Oh, this is my pawn structure. This is his pawn structure. Yeah, it's tough to break through with 4 minutes. Okay. Yeah, but if I take and he takes, and then I go here, and he goes there, and I go here. If he takes, I can push the pawn. No, I can't. Wait. Okay, if I take this pawn and he takes, and I go here, and he goes there, and I go here, he takes, I can't push because he can come back. Wait. And then I can't push again. So I don't know what to do here. Okay, so now this is my pawn structure versus this, and my king is here. Can't I push this? He takes, I take, then he has a passed pawn. Yeah, it doesn't work. But now I get opposition. I'm not going to be able to win this. Look at my opponent's time usage versus mine. It's insane to me. So which way do I want to go? Well, I only can go this way. Okay, so now there's no center pawn here, right? Or can I check him? This is my opponent's pawn structure now. Yeah. I'm going here next. Okay, so this is the pawn structure now. Now, if I go here, this is his pawn structure. And this is my pawn structure, so I can force him to push a pawn. So if I go there, he pushes, I take, he pushes another pawn. Oh my God. Yes. So he was forced to push a pawn, and it was totally crushing. So what I saw, though, was he pushes this pawn, I take, he pushes this pawn, and I go here, giving the king room, and then, yeah, there's no way around that one. Woo! Okay, that was a decent game of chess, especially for Blindfold. Let's take a little burn through it, though. Hopefully the clocks were working on that one. OBS keeps screwing me. So I'm a little concerned that the clocks weren't working. If so, OBS keeps screwing me on that. It's like the windows don't refresh, and because I'm not using two monitors, I don't see it. OBS is always minimized. Pisses me off. Okay, let's take a burn through. But if the timers aren't working, I'll find out after I'm done recording. My opponent has 19 minutes and 19 seconds left. They basically used their increment the entire game. We started with 20 minutes each. I have a minute 50. My opponent has 19. And that is just insane to me. So we have a pretty standard Caro Kann Exchange in a different move order. I think my opponent pushing this and forcing this trade. Now I have a 1 pawn advantage. Then my opponent went for trades. And then my opponent had control of the C file but let it go with this. And I spotted it. And then I really like this forcing queen trade. And I really like this move. I'm curious what the computer will say. Now I get A2 in. I honestly didn't expect that was his plan. And then I just get my king closer. I'm forced to lock this up, by the way, I think. Yeah, because if I take, king takes, and now he can make a passer. So then I just start forcing my majority over here. Got king opposition. And in this case, my opponent still had a move, so it's not a draw. And my opponent, yeah, I think this was pretty spot on. So let's take a look at the analysis board. Wow, my opponent was rated 1700 on that one. I've been searching for 0 to 500 plus, so my opponent was pretty strong on that one. Let's request a computer analysis. Oh my god. I don't know if you can see this. Let me look. Yeah, you can't see the stats on the right, but you can see the graph. But what the stats say is my opponent played with 92% accuracy, had one blunder, one mistake. And I played with 96% accuracy, no mistakes, no blunders, and only 2 inaccuracies. You know, I got pretty upset with myself in a previous episode, was saying some cruel stuff about myself. I think I need a little bit of a reality check that I'm not as stupid as I think I am. I probably would say that's one of my most successful blindfold games. That opponent was no slouch. And yeah, I feel pretty good about that one. Cool. Well, hopefully all this blindfold training will pay off. I'm going to get out of here now. Let me know what you think. Till next time, cheers.